Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. Today we take a quiet moment to remember the American stars we've recently lost along with other beloved figures whose lives touched hearts around the world. If these memories mean something to you, please consider leaving a like. Your support helps us continue sharing these tributes with the care and respect they deserve. Thank you for being here. Now let's remember them together. James Stewart Tolken has passed away at 94. For many, he was that voice, sharp, impatient, impossible to ignore. Mr. Strickland, the man who seemed to exist just to keep everything in line. The news was confirmed quietly. No spectacle, just the kind of farewell that feels fitting in a way. If you grew up in the 1980s, you remember him immediately. Back to the Future wasn't just a film. It was an era. And there he was standing in the hallway calling out slackers with that unmistakable edge. It wasn't a large role on paper, but somehow it stayed. Decades later, people still quote him. He had that rare presence, authority without needing to explain it. You believed him the moment he appeared on screen. Before that, he showed up in films like War Games in 1983. Another piece of that Cold War tension many remember so clearly. He fit that world. Stern faces, high stakes, no nonsense. Off-screen though, a different rhythm. Married for many years, a private man, not chasing headlines, just working, showing up, doing the job well. There's something about actors like Tolken. They weren't always the center of the story, but they helped make it real, gave it weight, gave it structure. And now you realize those voices are getting quieter. The halls they once filled don't sound the same anymore. Carlos Ray Chuck Norris has passed away at 86. For a long time it felt like he might outlast the stories told about him. Strong, steady, almost untouchable in the public imagination. The confirmation came in with it, that quiet pause, the kind you don't expect with someone like him. Before the jokes, before the internet turned his name into legend, there was a real man. U.S. Air Force in the late 1950s, stationed in Korea. That's where it began. Martial arts discipline. Something that stayed with him for life. By the 1970s, he was already a world champion. Not a character, an actual fighter. Then came the films and later Walker, Texas Ranger. For many Americans, that show became routine. Evening television, familiar rhythm, justice delivered without noise. You knew what you were getting. And that was the comfort of it. He stood for something simple, right and wrong. No confusion. That mattered especially in times that didn't always feel so clear. Off-screen, he carried himself differently than people expected. Faith, family, long marriage, a quieter life than the legend suggested, not chasing attention, not trying to prove anything. And maybe that's what stays with you now. Not the memes, not even the fight scenes, just the presence. A man who represented strength in a very particular American way and somehow made it feel steady. Rita Ephraim, known to many as Ratinia online, has passed away at 31. It's hard to say that without pausing for a second. 31 feels unfinished. Her passing was confirmed after a long exhausting fight with a condition doctors themselves struggled to fully understand. An ultra-rare autoinflammatory disease not even catalogued yet, combined with an immune system that simply couldn't defend her the way it should. It wasn't one battle. It was many over and over again. For those who followed her, this wasn't sudden. And still it hurts in that quiet way. You watched her hold on. You saw the hospital stays. The moments where things got worse then somehow steadied again. She spoke openly about it. No filters when it came to pain. That honesty. People remember that she didn't come from the television era or the stages of the 1970s. But the feeling she created, connection, familiarity, that part is the same. It reminds you of how every generation finds its own voices and how quickly those voices can be taken. Behind everything, there was a young woman who kept going. Family close. A circle that didn't leave her side. Strength, yes, but also vulnerability. She never pretended otherwise. And now there's this silence where her updates used to be. It makes you think about time in a different way. Not how long someone lived, but how intensely they held on while they were here. He didn't grow up around bright lights, not even close. Sammy Hagar was born in 1947 in Salinas, California. But the real story started in Fontana. Steel Town. Loud, rough, unforgiving. His father worked in a steel mill. Drank too much. Came home angry more often than not. There's something about growing up like that. It either breaks you or it builds a kind of fire that never really goes out. Sammy was just a kid riding a red bicycle through dusty streets, trying to stay out of the house as long as possible. Music wasn't a dream yet. It was more like an escape hatch, something to hold on to when things felt unstable. He didn't talk much about fear back then. But you can feel it between the lines of his story. The way he watched, the way he learned early how to read a room, by the time he reached his teens, he wasn't just looking for a way out. He needed one. And somehow without connections, without money, just instinct and stubbornness, he started moving toward a life that didn't look anything like where he came from. It didn't happen overnight. Nothing real ever does. In the late 1960s and early 70s, Sammy bounced through bands trying to find his place. Then came Montrose in 1973. That was different. That was loud in a way. People noticed Bad Motor Scooter. That track alone, it carried something raw, not polished, not perfect, just real. After Montrose, he went solo. And for a while, it felt uncertain. Hits came, but not enough to make things comfortable. Still, by 1984, I Can't Drive 55 hit like a spark. Suddenly, people knew his name. Not just in rock circles, everywhere. But here's the thing. Success didn't smooth him out. He stayed restless, always pushing, always wondering what the next version of himself would look like. Then came 1985. He joined Van Halen. And just like that, everything shifted. Bigger stages, bigger expectations, bigger pressure, but also something else. A sense that maybe finally he had found the place where all those years of struggle were leading. Fame looks easy from the outside. It never is. With Van Halen, Sammy helped create massive records. 5150 in 1986, U8112 in 1988, stadiums filled songs everywhere. It felt unstoppable. But behind the scenes, things were complicated. Creative tension, different personalities, different visions. He wasn't the same kind of frontman as David Lee Roth. And that comparison never really left him alone. Not from fans, not from critics, not even from within the band. Sammy has talked about it. Those moments when success didn't feel like freedom, but like pressure tightening around him. And still he stayed for years because part of him believed in what they were building until 1996 he walked away. Or maybe it all just finally broke apart. There's something honest in that decision. Walking away from something that made you famous but no longer felt right. Not everyone has the courage to do that, especially when the whole world is watching. After Van Halen, things got quieter. Not invisible, just different. He returned to solo work, built businesses, launched Cabo Wabo Tequila in the 90s, something that at the time people didn't take seriously. Later, it sold for millions. But money wasn't the point. Not really. What stands out is how he kept moving, not chasing the past, not trying to recreate what had already happened. There were losses, too. Friends from the industry, time passing, the body not always responding the same way it used to. He's been open about aging, about energy changing, about the reality that even rock voices don't stay untouched forever. And yet, he never disappeared. Instead, he adjusted, formed Chickenfoot, collaborated, showed up in ways that felt lighter but still intentional. It wasn't about proving anything anymore. It was about staying connected to music, to people, to that younger version of himself who just wanted out. These days, Sammy Hagar doesn't rush onto the stage the way he once did. There's a pause now, a breath before the lights hit. Not hesitation, just awareness. He's in his late 70s now, and he knows exactly what that means. The body talks back more. The voice, once explosive and effortless, asks for care, for patience. But here's the part that stays with you. He never stopped showing up. Even now, he still tours, still sings the songs that carry generations. Not trying to sound like he did in 1986, not chasing that version, just meeting the moment as it is. And there's something deeply human in that. Over the years, he's spoken openly about aging, about how strange it feels to still be on stage when so many from his era are gone or quiet or simply unable to continue. That kind of awareness changes a person. It softens the edges. He laughs more now. Not the wild, reckless kind from his early days, but something calmer. A laugh that comes from having seen enough of life to stop fighting every little thing. And yet the fire never fully left. You can still hear it when he sings certain lines. A slight push in the voice. A memory of that younger man who refused to stay small, who refused to let his surroundings define him. He didn't become a perfect version of success. He became a real one. There were mistakes along the way. Words said in frustration, relationships that didn't last, decisions that in hindsight might have gone differently. He's never hidden that. And maybe that's why people trust him, because he never tried to rewrite his story into something cleaner than it was. He let it stay messy. Today he spends more time with family, with friends, with the kind of quiet moments that once felt impossible during the height of his career. There's a different kind of richness there. Not loud, not public, just steady. But when the music starts, something shifts. Not back in time, not exactly, but forward in a way that carries everything with it. The steel town, the red bicycle, the crowded arenas, the tension, the reinvention, all of it present in one voice that's still somehow unmistakably his. And maybe that's what matters most. Not how long someone stays at the top, but how they remain themselves while everything else changes. Sammy Hagar never left that road he started on. He just kept walking it.